What if I told you a woman who was barren for 12 years finally got a child, but the forest gave her a condition? She could love the child. She could raise her. But the day that girl turns 16, she must return her to the forest. No tears. No resistance. Or she would lose everything. When the night finally came, could a mother truly let go?
In the village of Oduoma, where red earth stained the feet and tall trees circled the land like ancient guardians, lived a woman named Amara and her husband, Obinna. Their house stood at the edge of the village, close enough to hear laughter from neighbors, but quiet enough to feel their own sorrow. For 12 long years they waited for a child. At first, the villagers encouraged them. "Be patient," they would say. "Children come from God." But patience began to taste bitter. Each new yam festival reminded Amara of what she did not have. Each naming ceremony pierced her heart like a sharp thorn. She smiled when others placed babies in her arms, but every time she returned home, the silence of her empty room echoed loudly. Some began to whisper that she was cursed. Others suggested Obinna should take another wife. But Obinna refused. "My wife is enough," he would say firmly. Yet even he could not hide the sadness in his eyes when he watched other men teach their sons how to farm. One night, when the moon hung full and bright in the sky, Amara could no longer hold her pain. She rose quietly from her bed and walked toward the forest that bordered the village. The elders always warned that the forest was older than memory and home to spirits that listened more than they spoke. She walked deeper until the sounds of the village faded. Falling to her knees beneath 2 towering iroko trees, she cried out, "Spirits of the forest, if you hear me, help me. I have waited 12 years. Give me a child, even if it costs me everything." The wind rose suddenly. The leaves began to tremble though there was no storm. From the shadows stepped a tall woman clothed in leaves and soft moonlight, her eyes glowing faintly like hidden fire. "You seek what has not been given," the spirit said in a voice that sounded like rustling branches. "Yes," Amara whispered, trembling but unable to look away. "I am the mother of the forest," the spirit continued. "The forest can give life, but it demands balance. I will give you a daughter. She will be beautiful and strong, not born of your womb but born of the forest itself." Amara's breath caught in her throat. "What must I do?" "When she turns 16, you must return her to the forest. Without resistance. Without tears. Without pursuit. If you fail, the forest will take more than you can bear." 16 years. 16 years to love a child only to lose her. Amara's heart shattered at the thought. But what was 16 years compared to endless emptiness? With shaking lips she said, "I accept." The spirit stepped forward and touched her stomach. Warmth flooded Amara's body, and the forest grew still again. Months later, the village gasped when Amara's belly began to swell. Those who had mocked her now stared in disbelief. When the baby was born, even the doubters fell silent. The child was radiant. Her eyes were deep and knowing. Her laughter sounded like wine through leaves. They named her Adiz. Adiz grew unlike any other child. Flowers seemed brighter where she walked. Birds perched fearlessly near her. She never fell ill. Sometimes she would speak of paths in the forest that hunters had never seen, as though the trees whispered secrets only to her. Amara loved her fiercely. She braided her hair, sang her lullabies, and watched her sleep as though afraid she might disappear. But every birthday felt like a drumbeat counting down. 5 years. 10 years. 15. When Adiz turned 16, the moon rose full once again. The air felt heavy, charged with something unseen. That night, a strange wind swept through the village, rattling doors and shaking rooftops. Adiz stood suddenly from her mat, her eyes reflecting the pale light outside. "Mother," she said softly, "it is time." Amara's heart froze. "Time for what?" "The forest calls me. I have always known." The wind grew stronger. The trees beyond the compound swayed violently. Obinna looked from his daughter to his wife in confusion, but Amara understood. "Promise. The condition." Her body wanted to scream, to grab her child and run. But the words echoed in her mind. Without resistance, without tears, without pursuit. Adiz stepped forward and embraced her mother. "You loved me well," she whispered. Amara bit her lip until she tasted blood. Her chest burned with the weight of unshed tears. With strength she did not know she possessed, she stepped aside. Adiz walked toward the forest. The trees seemed to part for her, then close again as she disappeared into the darkness. Only when the forest fell silent did Amara collapse to the ground. The tears she had held back for 16 years poured freely now. The wind rose once more, but this time it was gentle. The mother of the forest appeared before her again. "You have done what few can do," the spirit said. "You chose love without possession. You honored your word." The trees began to glow softly. "A child of the forest belongs to the forest," the spirit continued. "But a mother's sacrifice carries great power." The trees parted once more. Adiz stepped out. She no longer glowed. Her eyes were no longer filled with ancient knowing. She looked like any other girl of 16, smiling shyly at her mother. "She may stay," the spirit declared, "because you obeyed." The forest grew quiet again, as though nothing had happened. Amara ran to her daughter and held her tightly, this time without fear of losing her. Obinna joined them, his confusion replaced with overwhelming relief. From that day forward, Adiz lived among them as an ordinary girl, though the village never forgot her extraordinary beginning. And the people of Oduoma learned that some blessings come with conditions, and that true love is not about holding tightly, but about trusting enough to let go.